Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Saints Insider. It is Friday, December the 19th. Zach Ewing, along with Clockwise from me. I'm in the top left. That's Jeff Duncan, Rod Walker, and Matthew Paris. And we are here to preview Saints at Jets. It is the Saints home finale. Do you think they bribed the NFL to get a marquee game for their home finale? And likewise, what did CBS do to get Jets Saints and Saints Titans in back-to-back weeks? Inquiring minds want to know if there's a conspiracy.
Who's got the game? Who's the broadcast crew? We know.
You know what? I
Jim
don't
Nance
know
and
that.
Tony Romo, obviously.
It's game of the week. No, in all seriousness, this looked like a real dog of a game. Like maybe number one pick bowl material about a month ago. The Saints are obviously playing much better than that now. The Jets are very much not, man.
No, I mean I will say it looked like an absolute train wreck for Aaron Glenn early on, but they reached a stage in the middle of the season where they were playing really hard, and now the length of the season I think is catching up to them. They have a ton of injuries. They just fired the defensive coordinator, and they're starting an undrafted rookie at quarterback. They're really going through it, and that's just sometimes how it goes in this business.
Yeah, late in the season, teams like this kind of go one way or the other. I think it feels like this matchup, you got one team surging and the other team, I think, just trying to get to the finish line. That's why I think this could be the first time we see the Saints with a kind of a lopsided win. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have our predictions later in the show. It's always a little bit scary when we're all on the same side of the equation, so we'll see if that's the case. But Rod, do you see any reason to disagree with those points?
No, I mean I think this is a game that I think, and I don't want to get into our picks, but I do think this is a game that a few weeks ago we were all like kind of dreading this game, and now at least Tyler Shough is kind of giving us something to look forward to. So I think just seeing how he plays will be the one thing that we want to pay attention to. But the game itself will probably be, not great.
Yeah, we don't think so. And the betting line you see on the screen there's Saints -6. It opened the week at like 3.5, so it's been one-way money, as they say. I mean, it's just everybody is thinking the same way, which is again a little bit scary. But I do think you get to this point in the season where some teams are playing hard and trying to win, and some other teams, not that they're not trying to win. I don't think anyone is losing on purpose out there, but they're just they're not putting their best players out there for either injury reasons or some other reason. And just maybe the edge is gone. They're still trying, but that edge you need to win NFL games is gone at this point when you're the Jets and you're just in the middle of a lost season. And I think the Saints still have that edge. So we will dig into it. First, want to let you know that Saints Insider is sponsored by Bank Plus. From small business to big business, home loans to bank anywhere technology, Bank Plus is here for New Orleans. New deposit customers can reach out today to learn about incredible rate specials. Learn more at bankplus.net. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And before we get started, Matt, we're talking Friday morning. Don't have the final injury report as usual. But we do know a couple of things. Devin Neal is not going to play for the rest of the year. Devon Vele is out this week. Alvin Kamara still has not practiced. It's possible he comes back to practice today, but it looks like he is probably also doubtful for Sunday.
Yeah, Rod, did you have a chance to catch up with Alvin at the Pelicans game last night?
No, I didn't talk to him. He was actually sitting courtside on the other side. Stayed there to the very end of the game. And it was weird because that's the most Saints players I've seen at a game in years. I mean, they were just all along the front row. I don't know if that's because they're taking the Jets lightly and just hanging out and watching an overtime game, or if they just wanted to see Kevin Durant in person. I don't know what it was, but I mean, he was there. Alante was there. Chase Young was there. Chris Olave. And Cam Jordan's always there, and actually Cam doesn't really come to a lot of Thursday game. He always kind of talks about how he'll go on a Monday game just because they have the next day off. So it was a little different, I guess, seeing that many Saints players at a Pelicans game. But but I didn't get to talk to Alvin. But I mean, if he didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, I mean, I don't see them just all of a sudden playing. But who knows?
Yeah, no, I mean that was my point. I mean, it's a little fatigue. If he hasn't practiced the last 2 days and He hasn't played in the last 3 weeks. I don't think it's going to go Friday game. We saw even with Justin Reed last week where he practiced on a limited basis the last 2 days and still wasn't able to go. So I think that one is going to take at least another week. Devin Neal is on injured reserve, and I've had a lot of people in my mentions on Twitter this week asking me fantasy advice of playing Audric Estime or Evan Hall, which I would just say good
Flip a
luck.
coin.
Yeah, flip a coin and good luck. I mean,
Yeah, you're in
we're
trouble
at
if
the point of your season
that's
where
your
you have to
decision.
start one of those guys. I mean, but this goes to the matchup is, they're hoping to feast on a Jets defense now that doesn't have Quentin Williams after they traded him to Dallas. Sauce Gardner is no longer there either. They're banged up. It looks bleak, but the other side looks bleak too.
Yeah, I think you're playing the matchup there if you're playing fantasy. And it was nice, by the way, the Saints with this newfound momentum, they willed the Pelicans to a win, Rod. So I mean, like, I guess everything's going well on Airline Drive now all of a sudden.
Gail Benson was very happy the other day at her media luncheon.
James Borrego, give him the job.
Pelicans are up to 6 wins. They might actually have more than this season.
Hey, I'm writing that column today, Jeff. Don't do that. No spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, like it's pretty striking. 3 in a row, right?
Yeah. Come back from 25.
The other
Against the Rockets.
Yeah, great comeback. The other couple things on the injury report, Cesar Ruiz also has not practiced all week. Neither has Awesome Richards. So we're probably looking at another sort of backup week along the offensive line. Obviously, Awesome Richards is a backup, but if anything should happen to one of the tackles, you're going down the depth chart there. Mason Tipton missed Thursday with an illness.
Yeah.
Was that, man?
William Sherman will be the right guard this week.
Yeah. William, not Tecumseh Sherman. And then Mason Tipton missed Thursday with an illness that's going around. You can probably hear it in my voice. Nathan Shepard's been limited all week. He probably goes. Tyler Shough is listed on the injury report with that hip injury he suffered against the Panthers, but he obviously seems good to go. He has practiced in full. So with that said, when the Saints have the ball, Saints, one thing they have not done during this sort of mini resurgence, Jeff, is score more than 26 points. They're still sort of at that barrier. I think this is a week they could get it. The key, though, is going to be they've just got to start faster. That's still one thing we haven't seen. As well as they've played the last month or so, it's still really slow starts, especially offensively.
Yeah, it's been a common pattern. They can't seem to get past it. I know they recently had an opening drive touchdown, but I mean, we just talked about injuries. I mean, this offense is pretty bedraggled. I mean, there's not a lot of playmakers there. I think getting up over 20 in any game is going to be an achievement for this group. I think the only way they get there is through special teams or like a pick six or something like that. They're just too limited on offense. It really comes down to like, can Shough make a play with his legs here or there? Can he get Olave on a hot streak? I think when they go to that tempo, as we saw at the end of the Carolina game, they're able to kind of dictate things to the opposing defense. That seems to be a success, but you can't do that the whole game. And they don't run the ball well enough in any phase, in any way to I'll be shocked if they get up in the upper 20s. This is something they haven't done all year.
Yeah, I would.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rod.
You go ahead.
I would just say that like 20 is reachable. 27 is, I think, doable. I mean, the Jets are coming off games where they gave up 48 and 34 back to back. They've allowed at least 20 points in 7 straight games. There's a reason they fired the defensive coordinator. Like, players were frustrated over there. I will say their new defensive coordinator, we don't have the bell on the pod, but I'd be ringing it really hard because I covered Chris Harris in Washington. Their new defensive coordinator is the defensive backs coach. I think he's really sharp. He's the type of guy that I think guys will play hard for. And so I think you are going to get like a new coach bump, even though it's just like an assistant. And we saw last year with Darren Rizzi kind of the benefits of that. And so I think it'll be a little bit tighter of a game. But, when you reach the fourth and the game's already decided, do the Saints add a late garbage time touchdown? That's entirely possible too.
Just for your benefit, Matt. Oh, that was not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be. I tried to get a bell. That was disappointing. We'll do better next time. Rod, you were saying?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think there is a way for the Saints to get over 26 points, but I mean, I think something good would have to happen early. And if the Jets have indeed quit on this season, which they seem like one of those teams, like, you score a quick touchdown on, they might quit. So I mean, if that happens, I mean, it could happen, but just with all the injuries, like, I don't know if I would just think that would happen. I wouldn't bet on the Saints doing that, but I just think they are very limited this week.
It would probably take like a Shough real breakout game, like a big time passing performance or something, or maybe some explosive plays. They haven't had a lot of those during this Shough run. I mean, they've kind of been more methodical, move the ball down. What was that drive they had the other day? It was like a mass. Yeah, that's hard to do. I mean, they've done it a lot, but there hasn't been a lot of those quick strikes from Shough. And that's mainly because they don't have the firepower right on the outside. And without Vele, who's been one of his key guys on third down, it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust, especially in those third down situations, because they haven't been able to really win first down with the running game.
Yeah, their longest play Sunday was 19 yards, as good as the offense looked. And again, that was with Vele. One thing I'm looking for from the offense, guys, is like we talked about getting going early. I'd like to see, especially with Vele out, how do the Saints get Chris Olave involved early? And then, obviously is Mason Tipton sort of the secondary target? Is it Kevin Austin? Like that whole mix. And then obviously at running back too, although quite frankly, the way the Saints are right now, it almost just feels like you just give the ball to anybody and the results are about the same. You're going to get like 3.5 yards a carry. But the receiver and how they distribute the ball as Juwan Johnson get more involved against a team that will give up yards against the pass, Matt. Like, I'm just curious to see how that distribution goes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I think Olave is kind of a go-to target for these quarterbacks. I mean, he's had a terrific year in terms of like trying balls coming his way. He hasn't always caught the passes in the biggest moments, but I think last game he responded nicely there right at the end. I would imagine Kevin Austin gets involved. They noted, his contributions after Vele went out with the shoulder injury. They already ruled out Vele on Wednesday, which I think they had to create a spot for Charlie Smith. I wonder if he's going to go on IR. They haven't done that yet, but they need to create it somewhere, and that would be a logical one. And so they don't necessarily have the firepower, but I think they still have enough too. I mean, Juwan Johnson, their connection's been pretty solid too.
Yeah, and the problem is, I mean, if you're the opposing team against the Saints right now, I mean, your top goal is going to be to take Olave out, and that's what people are doing. All you do, you can always take a top receiver out by bracketing him, and that's what the reason they were able to get him involved late is they got them stuck in a certain personnel package and went to that tempo, and they struggled to execute that. But most teams are going to double team him and let somebody else try and beat them. And that's the issue they've got right now is without Vele, I don't know who that is. Is that Kevin Austin, or Tipton's hurt? They really are kind of getting down to the bottom of the depth chart.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I was looking at the box score from last week when Jacksonville just went up and down the field on the Jets. Career day for Trevor Lawrence, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns. But they didn't have like a go-to guy. It was very spread out. Travis Etienne, the running back, actually led them in receiving with 73 yards. All 3 of his catches went for touchdowns. Jacoby Myers had 71 yards. Brian Thomas had 66 yards. Parker Washington had 53. It was really spread out. And I'm curious to see if the Saints can even do that given their depth chart. The Jets are gettable, but it's a little bit of a movable object, resistible force right now. We'll see. Like, this is kind of to the point you guys have made earlier this week, though, Rod. Like, Tyler Shough is not just playing well. In some ways, he's actually carrying this offense.
Yeah, and that's what he'll have to do that again Sunday for them to win. I mean, we don't think any of those other guys can carry this team, or we don't think any of these running backs are going to have a big game, like, go over 100 yards. We don't know if any of these receivers, other than Olave, will probably have a big game. So, yeah, I think Shough – this is like a game that I think Shough wants to just. I mean, I think last week he really kind of showed who he is, but I think this is a chance to just, add on to that and just really, get his fan base behind him and maybe even get his Rookie of the Year numbers up for you.
Do you guys think this is? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was making happy noises for Rod, reminding me of my 250-1 bet.
Although the other quarterback is a Missouri guy, so you might be. I don't know which.
I'm torn, man. Brady Cook. We'll talk about him in a second, but go ahead, Matt.
Here's something we were talking about in the media room the other day. Do you think Tyler Shough finishes the year as the Saints' second leading rusher? Alvin Kamara has 471. Devin Neal has 206 yards. That's the second most on the team. And Shough is at 138. And Estime has 22 yards. And Evan Hall has 31. Do you think any of those guys – I think Shough has a chance to – just the way that he's been running the ball. And to our discussion about how Shough is carrying this offense, I think there's a good chance, down the final stretch here that he overtakes Neal and Kendre Miller for that second spot.
How many does Kendre have?
Kendre has 193.
Okay, so he needs 68 to pass Devin
He's
Neal.
probably favored to get that over 3 games.
Yeah.
Get that.
I would think so. Okay, let's flip things over. Let's talk about Saints defense against Jets offense. Matt, you mentioned this. The Jets, it looks like they had Justin Fields back off of injury concerns this week, but they choose to stay with the undrafted rookie Brady Cook out of my alma mater, out of Missouri. He was a good college player. I don't think anybody really thought he would have an NFL future. He was not good against Jacksonville. He was also not an abject disaster. He did throw for a touchdown. He threw for over 200 yards, 176. He completed 67% of his passes. He did have 3 picks. And so this is another situation where, especially if you can get the Jets in comeback mode, you can probably feast a little bit and really key on this undrafted guy.
Yeah, no, it is Brady Cook Mizzou?
Yes.
So should we just clear out this segment for you? And
I mean, look, he's a dog, man. He did once return from there was a game last year. Missouri was playing Auburn, and he got knocked out of the game and literally went to the hospital because I think they were afraid he punctured a lung or something. He really took a vicious hit in the first half of that game. And Missouri's losing. They were favored to win the game, but the backup came in. They were not doing well. It was a really kind of a defensive slog. He comes back from the hospital, which is across the street from the football stadium there at Mizzou, and emerges from the tunnel at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I mean, it was like Willis Reed comes back and leads Missouri to 2 touchdown drives, and they win the game. He's that kind of guy. Like, he's a tough guy. He's a leader. He's all those sorts of things. But like, talent wise, he was like a 2-star recruit. I mean, and you could just see he had limitations with his arm. So I think it's just not going to be anything the Saints can't handle. I do think if they were to fall behind, he's the type of guy who's going to keep that offense going and kind of keep them rallied. And I mean, enough about Brady Cook. Like, they've also still got Breece Hall. There is some talent on this offense even without Garrett Wilson.
Right, and we've seen this year when the Saints. This actually reminds me of the other New York game that the Saints had this season. Is they had a bunch of turnovers. Kirk will give you the ball. He has 5 interceptions. 3 of them have come in the end zone. To your point about maybe the lack of talent to be able to have that arm to needle throws in tight windows. Like, I think he'll give the Saints secondary a chance here to kind of come away with some plays. And I don't know. They don't really have anyone that scares me on that side of the ball. Breece Hall, I think, could be a problem given the way that the Saints' run defense has been up and down. Mitchell has had kind of a nice season since they traded for him, but they're without Garrett Wilson. It's just not a group that really inspires a lot of confidence. They're down Mason Taylor as well. That they're just banged up, and they've had some, like, they haven't gotten good enough quarterback play this year, and then their supporting cast is just kind of whatever.
Yeah, they're going to be drafting a quarterback high next year, obviously. They're one of those teams that has not addressed it very well. I mean, the decision to go all in on Justin Fields and stuff just felt like a misguided decision there. Aaron Glenn's kind of made some obviously early mistakes as a rookie head coach. I mean, he's already had to fire his defensive coordinator. I don't think he addressed the quarterback position very well going in, and it's showing with this offense. I mean, they're really, really limited. I mean, they make the Saints look dynamic.
Yeah, that's one thing we hadn't mentioned yet, Rod, is that Aaron Glenn did fire Steve Wilks as defensive coordinator. I mean, they've really been getting gashed these last few games. I just don't know with the personnel available, what do you change here? But of course, we're talking about when the Jets have the ball. But on the other side, Brandon Staley is doing one hell of a job. This Saints defense is really playing well.
Yeah, they are, and I think that's something we'll see Sunday. I mean, I think they know the kind of quarterback they're facing in Brady Cook, and I think they'll definitely take advantage. They'll throw a lot of stuff at him, and I mean, he hadn't been great. I think he's completed 57% of his passes. So this is just a game I think the defense could really dominate and create a lot of turnovers and get a lot of things going. And speaking of turnovers, we didn't talk about this on the other side when we're talking about when the Saints had the ball. But to me, the fact that the Jets don't have an interception this season is one of the most remarkable stats I've ever seen.
That was going to be my wild card, Rod. I intentionally.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
All good.
We'll get more to that.
I meant to
amazing, though.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Did you look that up, Rod? Has anybody ever gone a whole season?
I didn't look it up, but I'm sure it's probably out there somewhere. I need to try to find it because that's incredible, and we're probably jinxing Tyler Shough right now. Talking about it.
Ball's going to bounce off Chris Olave's like sternum right into their arms or something like that.
Maybe if you go back to like the Depression era when teams never threw the ball, you might find something like that. But that seems because when teams did start throwing the ball, interceptions were really common, even though they weren't throwing it a lot. Like it seems like for an NFL team to go the whole season without one is pretty insane. So we will see on.
You should be able to get one on accident.
Right.
You should be able to get one.
Ball.
It just should happen.
Yeah. Okay, special teams real quick. This is where I put down where we get to talk about Charlie Smith. Matt, you mentioned this. He's got to be activated. They got to find a spot for him. They're obviously planning to do that. They cut Cade York from the practice squad. So Smith's the only kicker they got. They're going to have to do it. We'll see what move they make there. But I mean, good for Charlie.
Yeah, no. The other one that they could do is they can move Austin Richards, who's been out the last 2 games with an ankle injury. That could leave the door open for Vele too. That's the other one. But yeah, I mean, they cut Cade York this week, and so he doesn't even have him looking over his shoulder anymore. There's a lot of confidence there, and it's like a Disney movie. It's kind of Phil Galliano was asked this week who would play him in the Disney movie, and so it's been going well for him, and that's kind of the one to watch.
Oh God, it feels like that's going to happen. We're going to get a Disney movie about Charlie Smith in like 5 years. I didn't even think about that. Who plays Jeff Duncan in that Disney movie?
Probably Brad Pitt or somebody like that.
Little Kevin Costner. Yeah, we got to find somebody good looking for that. The other thing I'll mention here, Kai Kroger's played a lot better. I think he was a real weak link, during the middle of the season, but he's had better punts. Consistency still maybe lacking a little bit, but you're starting to see maybe what the Saints saw in that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's come up with some big time punts. He looked kind of like a disaster midway through the season, but Charlie Smith looked like a disaster in training camp, and the Saints stuck by him. They really stuck by Blake Groupie like that. They will give their guys times to work it out. It's just, I think the question for me with Kroger is this more of an offseason is, do they find someone else to replace him again? Because it's been 3 straight seasons now where the incumbent punter has lost the training camp battle. So see if it'll be 4 in a row.
All right, we're talking about punters. That means it is time to take a break here on the Saints Insider. We will be back with our keys to the game and predictions for Saints Jets right after this.
Did they ask you to do the commercial too? Yeah, but they just gave me one line.
Bet like a Caesar.
Like, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna tell them how Caesar's Sportsbook is just so easy to use that you can watch and bet thousands of sports events, even some NFL games.
They'll probably show us betting on our favourite players and teams at all the Vegas hotspots too.
Like, we have time for that montage.
I told him I couldn't do it.
They couldn't afford me.
That may be.
Welcome back to the Saints Insider. We're sponsored by Bank Plus. You can check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Leave your score prediction. We're going to shout you out. We're going to shout out last week's winner here in a minute. But first, we are going to do keys to the game for Saints and Jets. Rod, the Saints are in an odd position here. They are not used to being they were favored against the New York Giants earlier in the year. They were actually favored, I think, by a point against the Falcons a couple of weeks ago. That did not go well. But just from the standpoint of being almost a touchdown favorite, clearly being expected to win this game, playing a clearly worse team, on a winning streak, trying to make it 3 in a row, like, we're going to find out if some of these guys can kind of handle that.
Yeah, and that's, for me, the key is the Saints. I mean, they just can't come out and play sloppy. I think they just come out and just kind of do what they're capable of doing. I think they'll be fine. But they can't come out and fall behind 10-0 and then playing catch up. And they probably can catch up against the Jets, but they just don't need to, mess around in this game. They need to just come in there, take care of business, get the crowd behind them, give the crowd something to be excited about in the home finale, and just take care of business. And I think they'll do that.
Yeah, last week was a little bit of a mirage offensively. I mean, I didn't go back and add it up, but I mean, at one point in the game, Matt was listening to me whine about, I mean, not whine, but I just couldn't believe how many defensive penalties the Panthers had. I mean, they must have had 4 or 5 personal foul penalties on defense. Like that stuff at key times in the game allowed the Saints to extend drives. Those were just massive mistakes by the Panthers. That speaks to the Saints getting in holes. They were in a lot of third longs. I think a couple times Shough even executed, got 3rd and 13s converted. That's not going to happen every week. So they've got to be better on the early downs. And like Rod said, not fall in this hole and try and come back like they did last week. That's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, I would say you can't give like the Jets life
Right.
in this type of game. Like, why I was going to bring up the turnover stat was, I think if the Jets get one, then you're kind of playing with fire. That they're really ecstatic, playing under their new defensive coordinator. It really rallies them up, and then it could become maybe a little closer. I think that the one game under Shough that this offense has looked pretty explosive is actually the first Panthers game. You think about the 62-yarder to Olave. I think there was another one that did it go for 50? That they had another big play in that game.
Right.
And so I do think there is potential to hit on a couple of big plays, but that's been the impressive thing about Shough is he's managed the game so well too. That it's because like the overall stat lines haven't been that impressive, but he's doing what he can to put the Saints in a position to win. I think for the Saints, this game comes down to like not giving the Jets ammunition to kind of see the comeback in sight.
Yeah, and look, the other thing we haven't really talked about, but one of the things that's been impressive about Shough is, he's doing this with a rebuilt kind of patchwork interior offensive line. And there's a couple times in that game last week, even when he was dropping back and getting to the top of his drop, and I mean, he was under siege. Like he was having to make plays in the pocket just to avoid sacks. He has a really good awareness, I think, understanding where the pressure is coming from. But that can be a recipe for what Matt's talking about, a strip sack, fumble. I mean, they do have some pass rushers on this Jets front, and that's an area where I could see something going awry. Right, he gets hit from the blind side, ball pops out. So that's something they've got to really kind of try to ward off, because I don't see any way that other way for this team not to win this game unless they just kind of self-implode.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like, we've talked so many times about the Saints needing something kind of weird to happen or crazy to happen to pull off an upset. They're in the opposite situation now. They're the ones who need to avoid something weird or crazy happening. And so if they do, they should win this game, point blank. So let's get into our predictions. I'm going to shout out a last week's winner. This is at least win number 2 for Chip McDonald. It might be win number 3. I have to go back and look, but I know I've written his name down before. So shout out to Chip. You are Nostradamus. 23-21 Saints was your pick. Of course, it ended 20-17. We had a lot of people close on that. I think a lot of people were seeing a close Saints win, so we were pretty good from the comments section. But leave your score prediction in the comments below, and we will get to it. Luke Johnson is not here. He will go first. He's got the Saints winning 27-17. Kind of your run-of-the-mill win. That would be an over. That would be a cover for the Saints. And Rod, how about you?
Hey, did we check the timestamp on that guy that keeps winning?
I did. I was in the Dome Sunday, and I remembered to do it just before kickoff. I went in and said, okay, this is the last comment that counts. Anything after that doesn't count. So he is good. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how it works. I don't know if you can slide your comment up higher, between 2 picks. And
it does give a timestamp, but it's kind of not exact. If you look 3 days later, it'll just say 3 days ago. So that doesn't help me. So I looked right when kickoff happened to see what comments were theirs.
All right. But yeah, I'm going Saints 24-10. I just think they'll just take care of business. But it is kind of weird when you look at the Saints, how many players they have missing that we're still predicting them to win so handily. But I do think they will win. But I don't know how comfortable I am with that 24-10. But
I'm on the same boat, Rod. I made this pick a couple days ago. My pick is Saints 27, Jets 9. And it just feels like the Jets have kind of let go of the rope, and this pick has more to do with that than it does anything else. In fact, I think the Saints will have a more difficult time in Tennessee next week, not just because it's a road game, but because I think the Titans are actually still playing hard, and I'm not sure that I see that from the Jets. And so I worry a little bit about this, especially as you start to – man, whenever you see consensus form on picks and everybody just thinks the Saints are going to roll, that should make you very nervous. So we'll keep rolling, Matt, with your pick.
Yeah, I haven't picked the Saints right to win a game this year, but I'm picking them. So 27-10. I just don't think the Jets have the firepower to really pull the upset on offense.
Yeah, and that is a Saints pick. I'm going to go ahead and update that there. And that leaves Jeff Duncan. Surely Jeff will save us from this all picking the Saints to not only win but cover the spread, right, Jeff?
I think what was my score? 21-13 or something like that?
21-13. So
yeah. I mean, come on. There's no way they're going to lose this game. I will say this. I mean, the one thing I would say is, this could be a situation for complacency with the Saints. They've won 3 in a row. You got the Jets coming in. All the stuff we're talking about, they're not very impressive. You could see the Saints kind of lollygagging into this one and struggling to win it. I mean, we're talking about a team that's still only won what 4 games? Is that what they've won this year? So 5 games. So they're obviously a better team, but I think a lot comes down to their mindset and where their headspace is. If they come in aggressive, I think they easily cover the spread on this and finally get an easy win, which we really haven't had all year.
So we have a team. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it would be a really bad loss if the Saints lose. If they were to lose this game, I mean, it kind of takes away from everything we've said about.
They should have fired Aaron Glenn.
Kellen Moore got this team going in the right direction, and if they lose, it means Tyler Shough probably played bad. So I mean, it's a lot of bad things come out of a loss in this game, I think.
And they could easily lose those last 2 games. I mean, we're talking about like they're going to go on this roll. I mean, that could easily, like Zach said, the Titans are still kind of playing hard, and the Falcons beat them pretty handily here, I thought, just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and you're right, Jeff. I mean, you're right, Rod. It's like I think there's a little bit of momentum. We're getting carried away a little bit, and you look at those scores. We're probably guilty of that too. A team that was 2-10 2 weeks ago is a touchdown favorite, and all 5 of us picked them to cover rather easily. So I don't know what that says about what's going to happen Sunday. Either they truly are on a roll, or maybe we started to see the stars a little too soon. So we will find out. We will have a post-game show for you on Sunday, hopefully from the Dome. Jeff and I have got to go up to the Tulane Ole Miss game and going to try to make it back to do that post-game show. But if not, I will do it here from my humble abode, and we will talk to everybody after Saints versus Jets. Until then, for Jeff Duncan, Rod Walker, and Matthew Paris, I'm Zach Ewing. This has been the Saints Insider, sponsored by Bank Plus. Thank you for watching.